the demand, the primary aim is to develop capacity by 2030 that will cater to the growing demand up to 2050. The fourth edition of the Railway Conclave will discuss the key initiatives taken by the Indian Railways to embark on its transformational journey for creating the future-ready railway system by 2030. We have some very eminent speakers from industry and the government to take us to enrich our experience and take us through this journey. Without much of ado, I take immense pleasure in inviting Mr. B.V.N. Rao, Chairman FICCI Transport Infrastructure Committee and also Business Chairman Transport and Urban Infra, GMR Group. B.V.N. sir, over to you.
Thank you, Neerja ji. Good morning and welcome to all colleagues from FICCI, the committee, as well as all members. And it is my proud privilege to welcome Sri R.N. Singh ji, Principal Executive Director and Secretary Railway Board, who has spared his valuable time to be with us as Chief Guest of this today's session, Future of Rail Transport. The fourth edition of Smart Railways Conclave. Sir, thank you once again for taking out time to be with us today. Indeed, we're extremely grateful. I know how busy you are bridging the minister's office and secretary to railway board, and a lot of activities are happening. It is a great to have you with us. I also welcome the senior officials from the government and distinguished speakers and delegates present for today's session. Friends, the Indian Railways is undergoing unprecedented growth with world-class advancements both in freight and passenger transportation, which is very relevant to our forum. There is a defined and definite thrust towards improvement in efficiency of the private participation, where we are all directly interested. Dear R.N. Singh ji, we are confident that under your dynamic leadership, Railways is set to witness extraordinary developments, future ready, and inch towards achieving the objectives laid down in National Rail Plan 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, year 2021 has been a year of major transformation and achievements for Indian Railways. It has witnessed an extraordinary growth in development of infrastructure, freight loading, and diversification, enhanced safety, capacity extension of network, freight train speed, which is very important. The launch of Gati Shakti cargo terminal policy is a path-breaking initiative by the Railway Minister, Honorable Shri Ashwini Vaishnavji, which will be instrumental towards fast-tracking the approvals, increasing the freight loading share of Indian Railways. We should also use this opportunity to congratulate the Railway Ministry for the anti-collision trial of Kavach. Last week we all read, Minister himself led this exercise. It is a great initiative. We are confident that 2000 kilometers Kavach rollout will add an extra layer in safe operations and act as a real armor in avoiding train collisions. For India to become $5 trillion economy in 5 years, Government of India has planned major expansion as well as modernization of Indian Railway as part of National Infrastructure Pipeline. We popularly all of us refer to as NIP. With the current thrust on Prime Minister's Gati Shakti National Master Plan, the Indian Railways has received its highest ever capex for 2022-23. Additionally, 400 Vande Bharat trains in India with better energy efficiency and passenger riding experience, and 100 Gati Shakti cargo terminals for multimodal logistic facility will be developed in the next 3 years. These multimodal logistic hubs, as we are all aware, will transform the economy by connecting the production centers and the demand centers in an unison model, and the efficiencies of the economy will be multifolded. The railways is also accelerating implementation of certain critical projects by 2024, such as 100% electrification, multi-tracking of congested routes, and upgradation of speed at various routes. Also on the cards are identification of new dedicated freight corridors and high-speed rail corridors to decongest the rail network and reduce the logistic cost. Projects of this magnitude demand efficiency and innovation in technology, which can only be achieved through very serious inflow of funds and sustained involvement of private sector and large international funds who are eagerly waiting and looking from side and understanding the opportunities. We expect that Railway Ministry would like to adopt the time test model of National Highway Authority of India. Arun Singh ji, I need your attention on this suggestion, sir. It is from the in the members. For few, the NHA has had a very good policy. In over a period, they have learned it. So, future railway PPP projects having large equity, especially on packaging and cash flows of wider participation by experienced private players as well as large funds internationally looking for opportunity to Indian railway system. The proposed HAM model, hybrid annuity model, is a welcoming feature, sir. It needs further fine tuning to mitigate the risk allocation and investment flow seriously and smoothly. There are some concerns with lenders as well as large investors, and we should iron out by deliberation and dialogue. For creating sustainable world-class rail infra, in the country, there is a need to reduce the implementation cost. For this, government readily announced asset monetization scheme based on philosophy of creation through monetization is to be tapped for encouraging private sector investments. All such steps will increase the share of freight by railways, which it has lost over years. Today's virtual conference will essentially focus on some of the upcoming trends and technologies that have the potential to significantly crank up the railway sector. We aim to create an active platform for exchange of ideas, experiences, and best practices among the policymakers and the industry members. We cannot miss out officially acknowledge my colleague Mr. Sandeep Sailet, co-chair of FICCI Transport Infrastructure Committee and Managing Director and Vice President South Asia and Southeast Asia Freight Business, Wabtec Corporation. Once again, a warm welcome to all of you, and I wish the event a grand success. Thank you, Singh Sahab. Thank you all. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Namaskar. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rao, for bringing out a few very important pointers and so beautifully setting the context for today's entire day conference. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my proud privilege now to invite Mr. R.N. Singh, Principal Executive Director, Infra and Secretary, Railway Board, Ministry of Railways, for his keynote address. Sir, please share your views with this August gathering. Mr. R.N. Singh.
Thank you very much. Very good morning to Mr. B.V.N. Rao and esteemed participants from government, industry, and investors. On behalf of Ministry of Railways, first of all, I thank the organizers for organizing this important event. The world is passing through a difficult phase, and economic priorities and challenges are changing almost every week. I feel that the focus of this event, future of rail transport, New India at 75, extremely topical and relevant in the present scenario. And Indian Railway also intends to contribute to this scenario by moving on the path of massive capital investment in infrastructure in coming years. During the challenging period of COVID-19, Indian Railways continue work as lifeline of the nation and contributed greatly towards handling this crisis. Many thousands of Shramik special trains transport migrant labor and moving the essential commodities, including medical commodities and facilities, setting up medical facilities, moving oxygen station. Railway has made really special contribution to support people in fighting this. With over 68,000 route kilometers, Indian Railway is the third largest network in the world under single management. During up to we leave out the last year, which was unprecedentedly worse year because of the COVID impact, Indian Railways carried 1.2 billion tons of freight and 8 billion passengers in 1920. And current year, our share of freight is going to jump to 1.4 billion, making it the world's largest passenger carrier and fourth largest freight carrier. Indian Railways, as you all are aware, plays a crucial role in connecting production centers with the markets and moving the masses across the country at a very affordable rate. Indian Railways is currently focusing on increasing railway share of freight and passenger transport on economic as well as environmental consideration and has formulated an ambitious investment program primarily focused on network capacity enhancement and upgradation of core assets, including tracks, network, overhead electrification, stations redevelopment, signaling upgradation, rolling stock, and locomotive upgradation. Indian Railways has recently launched National Rail Plan with the primary objective of developing the capacity ahead of demand and thus enhance the rail freight share from existing 27% to 45% by 2030 through massive capital investment, which is a very challenging target. Indian Railways plan to electrify its entire broad gauge network by December 23 to achieve the goal of zero net carbon emission by 2030. It is expected that reliance on fossil fuel based power requirement for Indian Railway will be significantly reduced by 2030. National infrastructure pipeline, Indian Railway is a major contributor in that, as well as in asset monetization plan. Gati Shakti has been launched by government, which is likely to become game changer for the infrastructure and logistics scenario. And Indian Railway is a major participant. It will not be out of place to mention that government has already taken the decision to allow 100% FDI in railway infrastructure as a significant policy shift to attract major investment and latest technology globally. In addition, focus has been on making policy interventions like revision of PC document, introduction of new Gati Shakti cargo terminal policy, and a better PPP model, which has been recently launched called hybrid BOT, which will be deployed for calling the bids for Sonnagar Gomo section of PFC. So Rao was mentioning about improving the PPP framework, and here I am to tell him that we have already done it, and hopefully you were a party to it through pre-bid conferences and all. So in this new PPP model, which has been named as hybrid BOT model, which has the features of annuity model and BOT model, and there is no revenue risk passed on to the concessionaire. All revenue risk is with the authority, and there is a 40% grant during construction. 60% funding has to be brought in by the concessionaire during construction, and then the concessionaire will be entitled to get availability payment for the next 30 years by maintaining and operating that track. The stipulated standards. It's a very, very fair model which has now gone to cabinet for approval, and soon we will be launching the bid process. Another new policy which is very, very pro-industry is Gati Shakti cargo terminal policy. We have majorly contributed and addressed most of the major concerns of the investors who invest in private freight terminals by facilitating the acquisition of the land for the linear connectivity, which was a major headache for such private freight terminal, by allowing free access to the available railway land for linear connectivity, by permitting the vacant railway land for developing the PFT, and also taking over the maintenance of the assets till the date of PFT. So this is a major, major change in the existing scenario. Existing model, earlier model, land acquisition was left to the PFT owner. The cost of connectivity at station was to be borne by the PFT owner. Now it is to be borne by railways. Maintenance of assets on in the railway premises was charged to the siding owner. Now it is being borne by Indian Railways. It's a very, very pro-investor friendly model. I invite the industry to study it. We have also launched a new EPC document. Perhaps Mr. Rao and other colleagues might have gone through it. And herein, I am giving a challenge to all the investors and industry. If they can find a better EPC model than the model of Ministry of Railways. This is my challenge to all of you. This is the best EPC document anywhere in the country, in any of the state government, central government, NHI, anywhere. We have provided such pro-contractor provisions in it, which are beyond imagination. We have provided for DAB award, was already there. What we have provided for giving 75% of the DAB award, pending arbitration, which is a novel feature nowhere in any other document. Besides, we have balanced the risk, we have equalized the penalties, we have made the authority more accountable, and without acquiring and having possession of 95% of the land, we cannot go for bidding. This is a major, major relief. If this document were there, what were used in the DFC, then DFC would have been completed 5 years back. So unfortunately, it was not to be. But now in future DFCs, in future high-speed line, future railway projects, we are using this document. And I request all my colleagues to study it and come back to us with further feedback for improvement. As you all are aware, two DFC corridors are in advanced stage of completion. Currently, out of 2,800 kilometer, we have already commissioned about 1,100 kilometer. And besides DPR, survey and DPR of 3 more DFC corridors is already underway, which might be followed by sanction of more such DFC. As you are aware, DFCs are designed to provide faster, bigger and longer haul trains, leading to quantum jump in transportation capacity and efficiency, especially on busy corridors like Delhi, Mumbai and Delhi, Howrah. DFCs on its route will be connected to industrial corridors, private sidings, private freight terminals, major and minor ports to ensure multimodal integration and to ensure running of timetable goods train, which is again a very welcome phenomenon in the area of logistics. It will also be used for running parcel train. It is already being used for running RoRo services, which is very popular on western sector from port to NCR region. And it has already, we are moving towards revolutionizing the freight movements in India. The area of high-speed passenger transport, freight corridor, then the existing Indian railway routes on Delhi, Howrah, Delhi, Mumbai will be offloaded and we can improve the passenger services there home. With that vision in mind, these two routes are being upgraded from existing 120 to 130 to 160 kmph, and with a target of 2020. Indian Railway has also taken a novel initiative of permitting the private train operators for running passenger trains on premium routes, and 150 trains are planned to be run by private operators for which bids were invited, but somehow, unfortunately, bids could not be finalized. So we are improving the bids. You can imagine the jump in the capex. The figures for 2014-15 were just around 40 to 50,000 crore. Now we have moved on to 2,37,000 crore per annum capex. New wagon design policy has also been introduced. Earlier, a new wagon designed by industry for their specific purpose used to take 7 to 8 years. Now, the time limit for producing new wagon design, privately owned wagon, is only 7 to 8 months. We are also revising our item rate contract GCC, normal GCC. Small contracts up to say 100 crore are invited to that. We are also overhauling the GCC sector, and soon by month end we are going to issue the new GCC, general conditions of contract, or item rate. So with these initiatives, I also invite the industry to participate in this initiative by giving their valuable feedback, and we are very, very open and transparent about receiving the feedback. We have no hesitation in accepting the feedback and declaring that it has come from industry side, and these measures will improve the capex, will improve the industry's participation in the development of railway network. So we are very, very welcoming in this regard, that if industry is facing any problem, so even in DFC, our major vendors were stuck up for various reasons, for liquidity issues and other issues. We have taken a lot of measures to improve their liquidity by going a step beyond the call of the agreement. So with this, we have been able to improve the pace of execution of DFC. I agree that there were certain shortcomings in our EPC documents in DFC, but we have removed those with the introduction of new EPC document. And I am sure this new EPC document will be very, very helpful in improving our capex and improving the performance of railways as well as its vendors and companies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for that very honest, upfront, and industry-friendly approach that you took to your address today. Much appreciate that. With this, I would now like to invite our office bearer, the co-chairman of FICCI Infrastructure Committee, Mr. Sandeep Selot, to deliver the vote of thanks and the concluding remarks. Sandeep, please.
Sandeep, Neerja, I need a half second. I need.
Yeah, please.
We as GMR, we are very closely working with DFCC and Mr. Arun Singh's intervention, I should say, because he was in charge, additional duty of DMCC, very short period, he understood. He is the responsible person who has removed some of the unprecedented or unexpected hurdles in the project, not to us or anything, everyone. And I think with that, the speed at which what he was telling, 1100 kilometers is operational, and the target to complete as expected by the government of India is is one of the pivotal and most important link between the project and the developers. So what honestly I want to share my own personal experience with at the leadership of Mr. Singh. Thank you. Sandeep, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Rao, for that insight. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute pleasure and privilege and honor to have esteemed guests to join us for the 4th edition of the Smart Railways Conclave. We're grateful to Sri Anand Singh Sam for taking the time out for addressing this August assembly. So I much appreciate your presence here today and the key insights on the transformational initiatives by Ministry of Railways. As the industry looks at the future after a challenging environment in the last couple of months, we are really buoyed with the ambitious plan and the new policy initiatives announced by Minister of Railways to spur growth of the rail infrastructure in the country. We're confident that the new growth and business transformational initiatives will go a long way in enhancing the operational capacities and increasing the modal share, which are critical for delivering the National Rail Plan 2030 objectives. The PM Gati Shakti National Master Rail Plan will enable Indian Railways to develop efficient logistics services and will contribute in the enhancement of multimodal logistics through the length and breadth of the country, which will be a critical factor in overall increasing the modal share of railways in the transportation sector. It's also heartening to see the transformational reform undertaken by railways towards a more efficient, greener, and modern transportation, which will go a long way in an assured, safe, and cheaper mode of transportation for a common man. So this would be a very, very important aspect from an environmental perspective as well, which will position Indian Railways as one of the leaders in the railroad industry. The new initiatives like modernization of signaling, Kavach, and introduction of the modern Vande Bharat train sets will enable safety, improve network velocity, and enable on-time arrivals, which has been a key factor for passenger comfort and satisfaction. And I think will go a very, very long way in establishing railways as the preferred mode of transportation for the future. We hope to gain insight, direction, and some concrete outcomes from the deliberations that will happen today. And FICCI will make notes of the key takeaways from this conference and present it to the ministry for the review. My sincere gratitude to all the industry members, delegates present, and my heartfelt thanks to one and all who helped to make this virtual conference a grand success. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all our delegates and partners for supporting these initiatives. With these words, once again, thank you all. Namaskar and Jai Hind. Over to you, Neerja.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. With this, we come to end of the inaugural. We immediately move on to the next session at 11:30, which is Future Ready Railways, National Rail Plan 2030 and beyond. So we'll regroup again in about 10 minutes. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Singh, for joining.
Thank you, Anand Singh sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandeep.